Hi, I'm Andrew Robinson, and this is a review of Apple's brand new HomePod. So, the HomePod came out last week, and being a big fan of smart speakers, of course, I had to check it out for myself to see if it compares to the likes of Google Home or the Google Home Max, or if it is a whole new animal in the smart speaker segment, as Apple is sometimes either known to be quick to follow or innovate something completely different entirely. Well, the HomePod, as beautiful as it is, which is to be expected given that it's an Apple product, it seems to me like a little bit of a half-baked product, and here's why. First of all, the unboxing experience is second to none. Apple's packaging and the way in which they present you with the ownership experience from start to finish is beyond reproach. And as soon as you take the HomePod out of the box, you notice just how well built and how stylish this tiny little 7-inch tall speaker is. And for $349, it does look the part. I know some people may gripe, $349, that's a lot of money, and for a smart speaker, it is a lot of money. But for an Apple product, it's on the more affordable side. The first thing that I noticed with my HomePod, which I bought in the white versus the space gray, was that both, space gray or white, it doesn't matter, both of the grills are actually fabric. In photographs, Josh and I actually thought that this might be a type of thin metal or mesh, when in reality it is fabric. And so the HomePod has a squishy, kind of spongy quality when you pick it up. Downside to that being if you have dirty hands or just live in a household with children or pets and you get the white one seen here, it's very possible this thing's going to get dirty real quick, and I have no idea how you would even begin to clean a white HomePod. I have a feeling the space gray, if you're worried about dirt and grime and things like that, I have a feeling the space gray is probably going to be a better investment. Once you get it unboxed, the next thing you do is you plug it in, and then here's where all of the idiosyncrasies of the HomePod come into play. For starters, you must have an Apple phone, an iPhone of some type, in order to even set this up. Android users need not apply. So with that being said, you touch your phone to the HomePod itself, a little pop-up window will appear on your phone's screen guiding you through the steps. Now, I am an Apple user, I have Apple computers, I'm very much vested in their ecosystem. However, there are a few Apple products that I don't like using or I don't have turned on, mainly Cloud and Apple Home. If you want to use the HomePod, if you want to get it set up, you must activate both of those items. And if you don't activate it, the setup procedures will literally force you to activate them and then try again. And that I found to be a little annoying. With an Apple product, I don't get to use it or enjoy it exactly the way I want to, but most definitely the way they want me to. And to each their own, you decide if that's right for you. Once I got it set up and connected to my home network, I discovered just how limited this speaker really was. It only can connect to an Apple Music or iTunes service, meaning you have to use Apple Music or have an extensive iTunes library in order for it to be able to access your music using Siri. Siri is limited to only pulling results from Apple Music or iTunes. So out of the gate, you have a speaker that is 100% reliant upon Siri, 100% reliant upon Apple Music. Well, if you are a Spotify listener or a Google Play listener like I am, what do? Well, your only other option is AirDrop. That is the only way to connect third-party apps to the HomePod or to get source material to play through third-party apps is through AirDrop. and AirDrop through Spotify was tedious and frustrating and had a very, very, very slow lag when it came to hitting play, airdropping, and then listening or hearing music come out of the HomePod. Apple, I should say Google Play Music fared a lot better. Airdropping from Google Play Music was much simpler, much more straightforward than with Spotify. But again, if you want to voice control this thing, you must have an Apple Music or subscription or a very large iTunes account that is all connected through the cloud, for which then Siri can, I guess, read it. So how does it sound? Well, here's where the story gets good. The Apple HomePod sounds amazing. It has a wonderful 360-degree sound field that is auto EQing to how you place it in the room. So if you place it near a wall or it senses an object, it will cut the volume to some of its 360-degree tweeters so that nothing is firing too much into the wall and instead directing sound more at you. And that's a really, really cool feature. And I can say it is noticeable in its effectiveness as you place this thing around your room or in different environments. Vocals sound amazing. The mid-range is probably the best that you will likely hear among the budget or sub $500 smart speakers on the market. This includes Sonos, this includes Google Home and Alexa. I think among the sub $500 smart speakers, the HomePod is the best sounding of the bunch. That being said, it is very room specific. If your room is too large, this thing is going to sound positively anemic. If you have a typical living room, you live in a house or an apartment, and this is going, in a living room or a den, I don't think you're going to have any problems. And this is about as good a plug and play speaker you can expect to hear that is trying to give you stereo imaging from a single source. We shot this out against the Google Home Max. We shot this out against Soundbar, other smart speakers, and we all were pretty unanimous that the HomePod was our favorite. If it were based on just sound alone, we would all have taken home the HomePod. But since a smart speaker is more than just how it sounds, it is about the entire user experience. Because the HomePod is so limited and so just relegated to an Apple-only ecosystem at this point, and we have to judge it on its merits today, not on its merits that may be coming with the firmware update tomorrow or 6 weeks from now, the HomePod is lacking a lot. It is not a fully developed product. It is a great sounding speaker attached to a half-baked, operating system. Let's just call it an operating system. I'm not saying that Apple's operating systems are half-baked, but their implementation of Siri in this particular instance is so limited. The fact that there's no Bluetooth, no aux jack, AirDrop only, prefers only Apple Music or iTunes, requires you to have all of your privacy settings open, wide open to Apple at all times. If you're into that, if you don't care, and you just want a great sounding Apple-only speaker, it doesn't get any better than the HomePod. That is my take on Apple's HomePod. What did you think? Leave a comment below. If you liked this review and want to see more, please subscribe. And until next time, happy listening, and we'll catch you on the next video. Later.